welcome to the Megacast. I'm Tyler Keefe in the studios of our flagship station, Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. In addition today, as always, also joining us on Comcast Channel 15 and AT&T Channel 99 is Birmingham Area Municipal Access, serving the Birmingham-Bloomfield area, and the City Cable 15 of Southfield, serving, of course, Southfield. You can also find us on Community Television Live and live to tape on Comcast Channel 10 and AT&T Channel 99 on Orion Neighborhood Television and on the Media Network of Waterford. Join us on the radio in Troy and Birmingham and in the Bloomfield Hills area on 88.1 The Biff, a service of the Bloomfield Hills School District. And then you can find us online, civiccentertv.com. Click on our Watch Live link there to find us live, 10 a.m. to 12 noon, Monday through Friday. You can also find us live on our Facebook pages, facebook.com/civiccentertv15 and facebook.com/lakesfm. And then find us on My Michigan TV or MyMy. Go to their website, mymytv.com, to learn more about everything that happens over at My Michigan TV, including our live show from 10 a.m. to 12 noon, Steve Lato Live from noon until 1 o'clock, and other live programming throughout the afternoon, and original programming all week long, as well as imported programming from creators all across the state of Michigan, all about the state of Michigan. It's mymytv.com, where you can also learn where you can download the My Michigan TV app, both on your smartphone and on your smart TV. You can learn more about all of our partnering television, radio, and web outlets by going to our website at civiccentertv.com and clicking on our Megacast link. There you'll also be able to access full episodes and individual interviews on demand on your time, so you can watch what's most interesting to you and watch it when you have the time to take it in. Also on our website, civiccentertv.com/coronavirus. There you're going to find a lot of helpful information about COVID-19 and other top stories making news each and every day. And we have resources linked from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, and the Oakland County Health Division, so that you can stay informed on COVID-19 the right way, not Aunt Harriet's stupid Facebook page and all of her posts saying, oh, COVID-19 created by Dr. Fauci. No, an idiot was created by your great uncle and your great aunt, and that's Aunt Harriet. So don't listen to her. She doesn't know what she's talking about. She's not an epidemiologist. She's not a virologist. She's not a doctor, and she's never read a single study in her life. Go to these websites, read them for yourself. If you want to, quote unquote, do your own research, sure, we'll call it that. If you want to stay more informed about COVID-19 and you want to know what the information that currently is possessed at the federal, state, and local level on this novel coronavirus, on this pandemic, on the vaccines and precautionary measures, go there, because the more you learn, the better decisions you can make about precautionary measures such as wearing masks, including masks for children, both of which are extremely effective in preventing the spread of COVID-19 and are not abusive. You know what's abusive? Raising your kid's a Lions fan. Yeah, we found that out this weekend. 16-1 coming your way. Can't even be the worst team of all time the right way. Anyway, all of those links on our website at civiccentertv.com/coronavirus. In addition to all that, we keep you informed beyond the COVID-19 front and on the COVID-19 front with links to articles from all across the state of Michigan making headlines each and every day as we begin our live shows. And today, our top story, of course, continuing on the COVID-19 front, as Michigan on Friday reported 15,878 new cases of COVID-19 and 83 deaths over a two-day period. That's an average of over 7,000, almost 8,000 cases per day. However, some of the new confirmed cases included lab results from processing delays that happened earlier on last week on Wednesday. Of the 83 deaths, 43 were identified during a vital records review, which the department conducts 3 times per week. Michigan now has a grand total of 1.18 million confirmed cases and counting, and 22,767 confirmed deaths since March of 2020, when the pandemic was declared here in the state of Michigan. Michigan has a test positivity rate currently, as of Thursday of last week, of 16.31%, reporting that 9,170 out of 56 6,208 diagnostic test results came back positive. The state has a fatality rate of 1.9% among known cases, according to data from the state health department. Michigan also reported 158,190 probable COVID-19 cases and just over 1,500 probable deaths. The probable cases combined with confirmed cases makes a grand total of about 1.35 million cases, approximately a little bit under 1.35 million cases, and just above 24,300 deaths since the beginning of the pandemic. That full article from the Detroit Free Press on our website at civiccentertv.com/coronavirus. And as housing aid continues to reduce and to be modified as the pandemic continues on in a different capacity than before, that means they're going to have more people likely out of their homes very soon and more of a tax on our homeless shelters to keep up with that demand. As Metro Detroit Homeless Services providers gear up for another winter in the pandemic. This is a great, extensive article that we've summarized from the Detroit Free Press on our website at civiccentertv.com/coronavirus. Homeless shelters in Metro Detroit are bracing for another winter when there's typically a spike in the need for their services as the temperature drops and people seek to escape the harsh elements. This time, however, there's another factor to consider: the end of the federal eviction moratorium. And there's also the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, forcing providers to once again open up new sites and space out beds to accommodate social distancing. Homeless service providers are seeing a steady uptick in the need for their services and expect those numbers to continue to climb as it gets colder. It's unclear if the lifting of the federal eviction moratorium, which had been in place for roughly a year and was lifted in August, is playing a role in that increase. While the moratorium ending is a cause for concern and something providers are monitoring, especially as eviction cases make it through the courts, they say federal rent aid dollars are working to relieve the pressure off of an already overburdened shelter system. Still, some shelters are bracing for an influx and expect to fill beds very quickly. The Detroit Rescue Mission Ministries opened up 2 new shelters last week, one for women and children and another quarantine site, to accommodate the surge of people they expect to see. Over at Macomb County Rotating Emergency Shelter, officials say they've seen an increase in calls since the moratorium lifted, and MCREST is able to accommodate about 70 people and is currently at capacity. Meanwhile, the Pope Francis Center is stationed at the TCF Center for another winter to accommodate more people at a time of high need. Last winter, the Pope Francis Center saw about 200 people per day, provided more than 100,000 meals, 6,000 showers, 2,500 loads of laundry, and was, quote, while the moratorium was still in place, and closed quote, said Father Tim McCabe, executive director of the day shelter, providing food and support services. Rent aid continues, still the full effect of the eviction moratorium last year hasn't completely hasn't yet materialized, and federal pandemic relief dollars are still in place to help pay off months of back rent and utilities and are working to keep people housed. That being said, several housing providers still say a problem persists. Delphia Simmons, Chief Impact Officer of the Coalition on Temporary Shelter in Detroit, said it'll take a while for eviction cases to get through the courts, and the cold weather is a major driver of the expected surge. COTS has been at capacity for months, she has said, and continued on, quote, I would say there is not a day that goes by that we don't get someone calling that we can't accommodate. There's not a day that goes by that doesn't happen, and closed quote. The United Way for Southeastern Michigan's 211 helpline has seen a slight increase in calls for housing help, rent assistance, shelter, and warming centers in the last 2 to 3 months, quote. A quote from Tamara Bolden, Senior Director of 211 Operations for the United Way of Southeastern Michigan. She says, quote, many people didn't call because they were assured that they could stay in their homes. But once the moratorium lifted, then the phone calls began to increase, and closed quote. Housing is among one of the top 3 reasons why people call the 211 helpline. So that leaves the question, who is left out? Outlier Media last month reported that although MSHDA allows people who have become homeless because of the pandemic to get federal rent aid dollars, fewer than 100 people got access to that relief through local agencies. Multiple people who used the news organization's text messaging information service called those agencies and were turned down for assistance, while others were told there was no available help. Advocates in Detroit have even taken a door-to-door outreach approach in an effort to reach Detroiters on the brink of eviction who may not know about ways to get help. Heading into another winter pandemic, providers across the state are juggling a web of concerns, including the end of supplemental unemployment dollars, people who don't know about rent aid dollars, difficulties finding a rental unit, limited space in shelters, and of course, the ongoing health crisis. Quote, "The whole system is really under stress at this point." A direct quote from one of the sources in that article from the Detroit Free Press on our website at civiccentertv.com/coronavirus. And lastly, some good news as American journalist from the local area, Danny Fenster, has been freed from the Myanmar jail where he had been recently sentenced to 11 years of hard labor with help of an ex-diplomat. He had been sentenced to 11 years of hard labor after spending nearly 6 months in jail in military-ruled Myanmar and was freed on his way home as of this morning, a former U.S. diplomat who helped negotiations said in a release. Fenster, the managing editor of the online news magazine Frontier Myanmar, was convicted on Friday of spreading false inflammatory information, contacting illegal organizations, and violating his visa regulations. His sentence was the harshest yet among the 7 journalists known to have been convicted since the military ousted the elected government of Nobel laureate Aung San Suu Kyi in February. Quote, "This is the day that you hope will come when you do this work," said Bill Richardson, a former governor of New Mexico and past ambassador to the UN, in a statement emailed by his office. Former Ambassador Richardson continued, "We are so grateful that Danny will finally be able to reconnect with his loved ones who have been advocating for him all of this time against immense odds," and closed quote. Fenster was handed over to Richardson in Myanmar and will return to U.S. via Qatar over the next day and a half, according to the statement. He has been in detention since he was taken into custody at Yangon International Airport on May 24th as he was headed to the Detroit area in the U.S. to see his family. Quote, "We are overjoyed that Danny has been released and is on his way home and cannot wait to hold him in his arms," his family said in a statement. Continuing on, "We are tremendously grateful to all of the people who have helped secure his release, especially Ambassador Richardson, as well as our friends and the public who have expressed their support and stood by our sides as we have endured these long and difficult months," and closed quote. It was never exactly clear what Fenster was alleged to have done, but much the prosecution's case appeared to hinge on proving that he was employed by another online news site that was ordered closed this year during a crackdown on the media following the military seizure of power. Fenster used to work for the site but left that job last year. According to the UN, at least 126 journalists, media officials, or publishers have been detained by the Myanmar military since the takeover, and 47 remain in custody, though not all of them have been charged. Of the 7 that have been convicted, 6 are Myanmar nationals and 4 were released in a mass amnesty back in October. This article continues on to say, in an interview with the Associated Press after his most recent visit to Myanmar, Bill Richardson had said his talks there had focused on facilitating humanitarian assistance to the country, particularly the provision of COVID-19 vaccines. That mission has also resulted in the release from jail of A. Mo, a young woman who used to work for Richardson's Center on Women's Empowerment Issues. At the time, Richardson said his staff had been in touch with the Fenster family, and when asked by the Associated Press if there was hope for his release, he had then replied, "There's always hope. Don't ask anymore," and closed quote. During Fenster's trial, prosecution witnesses testified that they were informed by a letter from the Information Ministry that its records show Fenster continued to be employed this year by the online news site Myanmar Now, one of dozens of outlets ordered shut down in a press crackdown by the Myanmar military. Both his former and current employers issued public statements that Fenster had left Myanmar Now last year, and his lawyer said defense testimony as well as income tax receipts established that he works for Frontier Myanmar, but without the government's official testimony to that effect, the judge only took into account the letter from the Information Ministry. That full article on journalist Danny Fenster's release from captivity in Myanmar, from being jailed in Myanmar, is on our website at civiccentertv.com. That article from the Associated Press via the Oakland Press. Find all that information and more helpful links to learn more about COVID-19. Keep yourself safe and informed by going to our website at civiccentertv.com/coronavirus. Coming up next, we are pleased to be joined by another one of our Share Detroit charities as we approach Giving Tuesday. Nancy Sovereign, the executive director of Wish Upon a Teen, will join us at 10:20. At the bottom of the hour, Keith Aldridge, the owner of Canterbury Village, will tell us about their upcoming holiday stroll and other events. And then we'll cap off the first hour. We'll start the second hour of the show with Eric Goldman, the director of Making God Laugh with the Rosedale Community Players out of Southfield. 11:20, we'll talk to the American Red Cross's Megan Lehman about the continued need for blood donations. And then we will finish off the show at 11:40 with film critic Nate Adams from theonlycritic.com. You can also find him on Rotten Tomatoes. That is all coming up next. You are watching and listening to the Megacast.
One of the things you can look for in your friends is a change in behavior. These can be big changes, they can be small changes in mood, physical appearance. They may be sleeping less or sleeping more, drinking more, or their eating patterns may be different. One big change that can be pretty obvious is change in motivation. Do they no longer want to play basketball? Do they no longer want to play video games? Now that we're spending more time online and in virtual settings, it's really important to pay attention to the language that your friend is using and the words they're using to communicate.
So when we text our friends, are they taking longer amounts of time to respond? Are they not responding at all? You don't have to be an expert to try to recognize these signs. The second that you feel it in your gut and that you're concerned, that's the second to have the conversation and open the door to what might be going on.
Whatever gets you talking.
Today, it is easier than ever to join Michigan's Organ Donor Registry and help build a bridge of hope for organ, tissue, and eye donation. Just one person can potentially save or help improve the lives of up to 75 people. By joining, your legacy could be the gift of life. Sign up today at michigan.gov/SOS or at any of the more than 145 Secretary of State self-service stations located across Michigan. Be part of Michigan's Bridge of Hope by adding your name to the Organ Donor Registry.
When times get dark, we can't see the help that's all around us. When you don't know where to turn, let 211 be your guiding light.
How can I help you?
Our guides are ready to connect you with the help you need. For help with food, healthcare, mental health, and other resources, call 211 or visit 211.org. 211. Get connected, get help.
Welcome back to the Megacast. I'm Tyler Keefe here in our studios in West Bloomfield Township. Although we're broadcasting all throughout the state of Michigan on a number of different community television and radio outlets in Oakland County and all across the state, online on our website, on our Facebook pages, and on My Michigan TV. As we said before, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10:20 a.m. now through November 30th, we'll be joined by one of many charities and nonprofits supported by Share Detroit as we approach and surpass Giving Tuesday coming up very soon. And joining us now is Nancy Sovereign. She is the executive director of Wish Upon a Teen, a 501c3 organization. Joining us now on the Megacast. Nancy, thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me, Tyler.
Appreciate having you on. Tell us a little bit, for those unaware, about what Wish Upon a Teen does to help people in our local area.
Well, we have been around for 10 years. We help and support teenagers that are going through and battling a serious medical illness. Our number one program is our Design My Room program, and we design hospital rooms for teenagers who are going to be in the hospital long term. I started with Wish Upon a Teen in 2012. As a parent, my daughter was having a bone marrow transplant at CS Mott Children's Hospital, and Wish Upon a Teen came in and designed her room. And it made the most impact of anything that she was going through. It helped her in her recovery. So I became a volunteer, and then they hired me to be the community development specialist. And then from 2014, I've been the executive director, working and making a difference for teens that are struggling with a serious medical illness.
So then how do families get involved with this organization, either to provide your services for their child or get their child that may have an illness involved with Wish Upon a Teen?
Well, it can be the family that reaches out to us and says, my child's in the hospital, how can we submit a referral? And so I always reach out to the hospital, but also we get referrals from the social workers at the hospital, the child life specialists, the nurses, the doctors, anybody who's involved with that child, whatever hospital. We're in all the children's hospitals in Michigan.
We're joined by Nancy Sovereign. She is the executive director of Wish Upon a Teen, a charity that is supported, of course, by Share Detroit. We'll be joined by one of those charities and nonprofits every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, now through November 30th at 10:20 a.m. You can learn more about Nancy's organization by visiting their website at wishuponateen.org. That is wishuponateen.org. And so you have an annual event that's coming up called the Evening of Dreams Prom for teens with medical conditions. When is that event, and what is that event, and how does it help to impact the children?
It will be in the spring. Okay. We had a small one this summer, trying to get back, into doing events for the kids post-COVID. Our teens have been isolated, they have serious medical illnesses. So, COVID has really, posed a big problem. So, with their isolation. So we're going to be having our Dreams Prom, our Evening of Dreams Prom this spring. And it's just a wonderful evening. Most of our kids have missed their prom because they have been, sick and in the hospital. And so we want to give them something that we all get to, have is our prom. And so, usually we have about 150 teens come from all over the state of Michigan, and it's at the Imagine Theater in Royal Oak. They're one of our big supporters, as well as Share Detroit. And so it's a normal prom. If you looked in the window or peeked in, you'd think, oh yeah, there's some kids in wheelchairs. There's kids, that don't have hair. But we make this a normal prom because everybody deserves to have one of those rite of passages and not miss it because of their illness. And we, send Ubers to the hospital for the teens to come to to the prom if they're in the hospital.
We're joined by Nancy Sovereign. She is the executive director of Wish Upon a Teen, joining us on the Megacast. You can learn more information about her nonprofit by visiting their website at wishuponateen.org. And so you mentioned that sometimes the kids that are referred to your organization, it may be through their families, but other times it may be through the hospital. Do you have specific partners in some of these hospital systems, or is it more just communication with them over time that brings you to these kids that are dealing with an illness?
We deal with the child life department in all the hospitals and the social workers. It just depends on who comes in contact with that family, and they decide that this teen is really having a hard time and having their room designed. Will make a difference. Like we come in and, we drop everything off at the hospital right now because of COVID. And so then the staff takes it up to decorate, but we do the comforter, we do the sheets, we do a blanket, we do everything, that comes within a theme for that room. And then they get to take it all home when they're done. So, some of our kids are in and out of the hospital for treatment. So they may pack it up and, bring it back and forth. But otherwise, we're very busy with Children's Hospital of Michigan. We're very busy with CS Mott Children's Hospital and Beaumont. So we're in Ascension in Detroit, St. John's Hospital. They keep us, busy. They have a lot of kids that are in the hospital and that need our help and need our support.
We're joined by Nancy Sovereign. She is the executive director of Wish Upon a Teen, a nonprofit organization supported by Share Detroit, and we'll be joined by organizations like hers and many others supported by Share Detroit every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from now until November 30th at 10:20 during our regular live shows, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. You can learn more about Wish Upon a Teen at their website, wishuponateen.org. And so, Nancy, during the pandemic, it had to have been a lot tougher, like it was for so many organizations, for you to do the regular work that your organization does. How did your operations have to change during the pandemic to continue to provide these services to sick children and teens, albeit in a different way and in a safe way because of the conditions we were under?
Well, it was difficult to begin with because, everything was put on hold because, COVID was new. Everybody didn't know about, trying to understand and in utmost, keep everybody busy. The kids that were in the hospital, they could not see their families. I mean, they had that one parent or that one guardian who was with them, and they couldn't switch out with anybody else. So they were even in an isolated time, they were even more isolated. And so once, COVID, I think back in, May of 2020, we started, shipping things to the well, we've always shipped things to the hospital if we can't go, because we're in hospitals out of the state of Michigan. But I've been, delivering it to the front door of the hospital or shipping to the hospitals in Michigan. And it started to take off because they realize these kids are, in a really tough space. They don't have their family, they don't have their friends. And so we've been doing more rooms now more than ever.
We're joined by Nancy Sovereign. She is the executive director of Wish Upon a Teen. Learn more information about the nonprofit by visiting their website at wishuponateen.org. And so at this time, being that we're not entirely through the pandemic, but we're definitely in a much different and much sunnier spot than we were in comparison to a year ago. The needs may be different now than they were a year ago, and may in many ways they may be similar to that, but it's going to be different for each organization that we interview. At this moment in time, what are some of the critical needs that Wish Upon a Teen has that the community could help them out with as we're approaching Giving Tuesday?
I'm telling you, number one, we can't thank Share Detroit enough for their platform for all the nonprofits in the state of Michigan. I mean, they are doing work that, I'm the only employee at Wish Upon a Teen, so, I'm going in 12 different directions. So the things that, Share Detroit does on their platform helps us in so many ways, getting volunteers, getting donations. But many of the nonprofits weren't able to have their traditional fundraisers because of, COVID. So, we're getting more referrals for Design My Rooms, but we had to halt a lot of our fundraising. We've been getting a lot of donations, from the community, people who have, had family members that have had their room designed or knew of someone that had the room designed and it made such a difference. But, we have critical funding that we need to keep doing our Design My Room because it's such an important program. So, people donating to our Design My Room program, sponsoring a Design My Room program. If you want to design, sponsor a hospital room for a teenager, it's $250, which is, you can get with a group of people, to do that. Businesses can do it. It's very affordable and it makes such an impact.
And then are there volunteer opportunities as well with your organization? You mentioned that you're the only employee of Wish Upon a Teen, but if people want to volunteer to help the organization, are there ways that they can do that? And if so, what are those ways?
Well, on Share Detroit, there's a area where they can sign up to volunteer, and then Share Detroit sends me all that information, or they can reach right out to me at Nancy@wishuponateen.org. But Share Detroit is just an awesome platform because it'll tell people exactly what we need, at the time.
We're joined by Nancy Sovereign. She is the executive director of Wish Upon a Teen, joining us on the Megacast. One of the many charities and nonprofits supported by Share Detroit, who will be joined by every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 10 a.m. From 10:20 a.m. to 10:40 on our live shows, which are 10 a.m. until 12 noon. You can learn more about Wish Upon a Teen by visiting their website at wishuponateen.org. And so, Nancy, just a few more minutes with you before we'll say goodbye today. At this time, anything else that would be important for our audience to know about your nonprofit, or anything else that we haven't spoken about today?
No, I just, if anybody wants to reach out, it is Giving Tuesday time, but, just Giving Tuesday is just one part of the year. Our teens, need help. Our program needs help. There's just a lot of important things that we do. I was a parent whose child was a beneficiary of what Wish Upon a Teen does, and I can tell you firsthand that it makes a huge difference. So, we were all teenagers once, sometimes longer than others, but, it's trying to get these teens through a really difficult journey when they have a serious medical illness is so important.
Well, Nancy, we appreciate it. Thanks for joining us and telling us more about your nonprofit, Wish Upon a Teen.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it. You can learn more information about her organization, Wish Upon a Teen, by visiting their website at wishuponateen.org. And again, we'll be joined by a different Share Detroit supported charity and nonprofit every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday during our 10:20 interview slot here on the Megacast. And you can find all those interviews and learn more about these organizations by going to our website at civiccentertv.com/megacast and clicking on our Watch Full Interviews link. If you just tuned in and you missed our discussion with Nancy about Wish Upon a Teen, you want to learn more about this organization and learn how you can help out, that's where you'll want to go. You'll be able to watch this entire interview, and you can go to sharedetroit.org to learn more about the over 230 different charities and nonprofits that they're currently supporting and counting as we approach and surpass Giving Tuesday. We're going to take a quick break. On the other side, we will stroll on over to Canterbury Village in the Lake Orion area to talk about their holiday stroll coming up very soon, beginning on Wednesday, November 24th. Keith Aldridge, the owner of Canterbury Village, will join us next. You're watching and listening to the Megacast.
If you are struggling to afford your internet bills during the pandemic, there's a temporary government program that may be able to help. It's called the Emergency Broadband Benefit, and it provides up to a $50 monthly discount on your broadband bill to qualifying households. Find more information about the program, including if you qualify and how to enroll, at fcc.gov/broadbandbenefit, or call toll-free at 833-511-0311.
A public service announcement from 89.3 Lakes FM.
Whether you're the city,
the county,
or the Huron River Watershed Council,
we work together to protect water resources for everyone.
Most of the pollution entering our rivers is carried by rainwater that runs off roads, parking lots, and rooftops.
A rain garden helps catch stormwater runoff.
Rain gardens and their plants help dirty runoff soak into the ground.
You can do your part to help keep our water clean.
Learn about rain gardens and native plants.
So consider a rain garden in your home landscaping.
Catch the runoff with a rain garden.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
I couldn't breathe at all. There was lots of talk about putting me on a ventilator. I thought I was gonna die. I was 39 weeks pregnant and had a scheduled C-section. During that time, I got COVID and was hospitalized for a month. I had a blood clot in my lungs. It caused me to go into right-sided heart failure. I was really scared. I kept texting my husband and my mom, telling them how scared I was, and I was worried that he was gonna grow up without a mom. And then I was worried if, when I did get home, that he wouldn't know who I was. You know, being 27 and a mom and a wife, and having that all almost taken away from me. It's scary, and if a vaccine can prevent that from happening, why not? Get your vaccine. I don't want this to happen to anybody else.
A message from the staff of Michigan's Crime Victim Compensation Program.
Anyone can be a victim of crime
and suffer lasting trauma, physically, emotionally, and financially.
But you are not alone.
If you're struggling financially due to a crime,
we're here
for you. Find out if you qualify for crime victim compensation. Call 877-251-7373 or visit michigan.gov/crime-victim.
A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, Division of Victim Services.
If you are struggling to afford your internet bills during the pandemic, there's a temporary government program that may be able to help. It's called the Emergency Broadband Benefit, and it provides up to a $50 monthly discount on your broadband bill to qualifying households. Find more information about the program, including if you qualify and how to enroll, at fcc.gov/broadbandbenefit or call toll-free at 833-511-0311.
A public service announcement from 89.3 Lakes FM.
You see certain things get reincarnated in your children. My daughter is very much inspired by my wife's artistic pursuits. So my daughter started making necklaces. She makes what we call affirmation fashion. I tell her every day that your black is beautiful. Your black is beautiful. Your black is beautiful. And if there's anything better than being beautiful, it's being smart. And if there's anything better than being smart, it's being kind. And reaffirming that every day is our method of making sure her chin never drops. My dad wasn't around. And I remember riding a bike and falling off and cutting myself, and me never just wanting to get back on it. People ask, how your children learn how to ride a bike? And you didn't. I didn't teach them. I just created an environment where they taught themselves, and all I had to do was be there.
Whether you're the city,
the county,
or the Huron River Watershed Council.
As partners, working together to protect our water resources, we agree.
Pet waste is the source of harmful bacteria in the Huron River.
When it's left on the ground, it can wash into the storm drains.
These lead directly to our streams. No filters, no treatment.
Here's one thing we know that can help keep our water clean.
Pick up pet waste and trash it.
Pick up pet waste and trash it.
So pick up pet waste and trash it.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
Who is struggling right now?
I am.
My son is. Many are struggling with anxiety, depression, and substance use. Before it becomes a crisis, reach out to MyCal, the Michigan Crisis and Access Line, for free confidential support 24/7. Available in the Upper Peninsula and Oakland County. Just call or text 1-844-44-MyCal or chat online at michigan.gov/MyCal. A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services.
Welcome back to the Megacast. I'm Tyler Keith, alongside our studio producer and board operator, Calvin Brown. Joining me in the studios here in West Bloomfield Township, although we're broadcasting all throughout the state of Michigan on a number of different outlets, not only in Oakland County, but all across the Great Lakes state. Learn more information about all of those outlets that you can find us on Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 12 noon by visiting our website at civiccentertv.com and clicking on our Megacast link. There you'll also be able to find all of our interviews and our full shows on demand, so you can watch on your time as well. Joining us once again now is Keith Aldridge. He's the owner of Canterbury Village in Orion Township, and he's joining us now to talk about their upcoming Canterbury Holiday Stroll beginning on November 24th. Keith, thanks for being with us again.
No problem. Thanks for having me. And yes, a lot of exciting stuff coming up to Canterbury for the holiday season, that's for sure.
Yeah, I always have a lot of fun things happening over there, especially on these special times of the year and the holidays especially. And once again, you have your holiday stroll coming up this year. It begins on Wednesday, November 24th. What can people expect at the 2021 holiday stroll over there at Canterbury Village?
Well, we added a whole bunch of new smart trees, and the smart trees are the trees that dance around to music, which is really cool. So actually this year, and it's right outside my office that I'm staring at, we have a 45-foot smart tree, which is really going to be a showpiece for us. And actually this Saturday, November 20th, we do our tree lighting ceremony to kick off our big showpiece tree. So it should be exciting. And then, as you mentioned, on the 24th, we've teamed up with Jay Towers and Jay's Juniors, and we're going to raise some great money for his cause and all the children that he helps every year.
We're joined by Canterbury Village owner Keith Aldridge with us today on the Megacast. Their holiday stroll over at Canterbury Village coming up on November 24th. But that's not the only holiday event or event coming up in the next few months over there at Canterbury Village. A lot of other programming also happening over there. What are some other things that before the holiday stroll and after the holiday stroll might be fun for individuals and families to join in on?
Well, the weekend of, I think it's the 4th and 5th of December, we have Grinch will be with us all weekend long. We have breakfast with the Grinch, and then our Grinch activities all day long before our stroll starts in the evening. So that's pretty exciting. And then obviously we wrap up the holiday season with the little kids mitten drop, which has become very, very popular over the last couple years. And we do it a little different spin. We do it just for kids, and we drop our big mitten down our big castle at 6:30. Kids have a great time. It's all about the kids, and then everybody goes home. So it's a lot of fun stuff going out here at Canterbury.
And so, Keith, last year, a difficult year to continue on all these events. They were outside in some cases, and so that was a little bit of a help given what we knew at the time and what the circumstances were in terms of precautionary restrictions that were in place. Coming back this year with less of those restrictions in place, things being a little bit more relaxed, although still cautious, how has that changed Canterbury Village's approach to planning their holiday events this year, knowing that people are excited to get back out and have some of those more normal, traditional memory-building experiences?
Well, we haven't changed much from last year because the formula kind of worked last year, and we don't want to get Canterbury too packed or too busy with people. So each of our sessions, each of our half-hour sessions are limited with tickets. And our formula worked great last year, and we're not going to change it this year because the families, and they seem to have a great time, and that's what it's all about, you know, that family experience at the holiday time. And, you know, obviously I'm a father of 3, so I appreciate how special that time is, and we don't want it too crowded here at Canterbury, so tickets are limited, that's for sure.
We're joined by Keith Aldridge. He is the owner of Canterbury Village, their holiday stroll coming up on November 24th. That is when it begins over at Canterbury Village. You can learn more information about their holiday stroll presented by Metro Detroit Chevy Dealers by visiting their website at CanterburyHolidayStroll.com. Again, that is CanterburyHolidayStroll.com. And so, Keith, you mentioned your partnership with Jay Towers, with Jay's Juniors through 103 WNIC and Fox 2 personality Jay Towers, of course. How does that partnership play into this event, and how important is it for your organization, especially during the holidays, to partner with Jay and with Jay's Juniors to do some good in the community as well as bringing people into your business?
Well, it's very important. So when my wife and I bought Canterbury Village last year, one of our goals was to really give back to our community, and not only Lake Orion, but Metro Detroit. And we've opened a food pantry here on our campus. We've raised a ton of great food for a lot of needy people. And then, as you mentioned, we partnered up with Jay over the last couple of strolls that we do, dinosaur stroll, Halloween stroll, and holiday stroll. And we raise some really good funds for his kids. And, you know, his whole organization is 100% charity driven. And so we're just happy to give back. Obviously, I said me and my wife are super lucky to have 3 healthy boys. And I could just imagine what families go through that are, you know, struggling and, you know, have a loved one that's, you know, not doing well. It's very, very difficult, I'm sure.
We're joined by Keith Aldridge, owner of Canterbury Village in Lake Orion Township area, joining us on the Megacast. Their annual holiday stroll begins on November 24th at Canterbury Village. You'll learn more information about the event by going to their website at CanterburyHolidayStroll.com. And then so also involved, there will be a toy drive for the bottomless toy chest as well. Tell us about that toy drive. What are some of the items that are requested or are needed in this drive, and who ultimately this will benefit?
Well, that's great. I'm glad you led into that because the holiday stroll, which is presented by Metro Detroit Chevy Dealers, one of their big charity organizations is the Bottomless Toy Chest. And so we teamed up with them last year, and a great lady who runs the organization, absolutely fantastic lady. And she really gave me some really nice insight about helping people and what it does for children when you present them with a toy that, maybe they're not doing so well in the hospital. And it lifts up their spirits. And last year we raised more toys than the Bottomless Toy Chest has ever received before, so that we're pretty proud of that. And that's gonna happen this year. So any type of box toy, all these toys go to the children that are in, Beaumont, Henry Ford. It's all children's drives where the toys go. So she does a great job, and we love being a part of it. And this year we hope to set another record like we did last year.
We're joined by Keith Aldridge. He is the owner of Canterbury Village, joining us on the Megacast. Their Holiday Stroll event begins November 24th. You can learn more information at CanterburyHolidayStroll.com, as well as learn more on their website about other upcoming events at Canterbury Village, including their tree lighting on November 20th, the Michigan-made holiday market, Breakfast with the Grinch, and Breakfast with Santa events, all coming up between November 20th and December 12th of this year. So, Keith, at this time, I also want to talk about the Michigan-made holiday market. That's going to be for a few days, November 26th through the 28th. Tell us a little bit about that and some of the ways that an event like this, especially coming into the end of the year, can benefit many of our local businesses here in the Metro Detroit area and all across the state of Michigan that may join you for that event.
Correct. So Black Friday weekend, we have our Made in Michigan markets. And we'll have about 50, 60 handcrafted vendors out here, local people, and to help give them a little bit of money in their pockets and neat holiday gifts that they'll have. Obviously, Amazon and Walmart.com kind of rule the world, but it is nice to give back to, the small business owners in our community. And that's what Canterbury is all about. And our customers have been fantastic helping our small shops here at Canterbury.
We're joined by Keith Aldridge, the owner of Canterbury Village, with us on the Megacast, their holiday stroll coming up, as well as other events at the Village between now and the holiday season. You can learn more information by visiting their website at CanterburyHolidayStroll.com. Again, that is CanterburyHolidayStroll.com, and that event coming up on November 24th in partnership with 100.3 WNIC and Fox 2's Jay Towers and Jay's Juniors, and of course the event sponsored by Metro Detroit Chevy Dealers. You can also, by going to the Canterbury Village's Holiday Stroll website at CanterburyHolidayStroll.com, learn more about their toy drive for Bottomless Toy Chest through Metro Detroit Chevy Dealers as well. So this event will include a contactless ticketing system. Given that we're still in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic, is this going to be entirely outside? Are there going to be indoor elements of this? And so how does the ticketing work in terms of a limited audience at one point or another?
So, as we said, all tickets are in advance, and there's only so many tickets available in every half-hour session. So when they sell out, the tickets are sold out. It is all outside. Obviously, with last year when we couldn't even open our restaurant, everything was really outside. But this year, the C Pub, which is our little Irish pub on our campus or at Canterbury, will be open for drinks and whatnot. But with that many people, we do have to have service outside as well. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Everything's outside. Hopefully everybody's gotten vaccinated, and away we go this holiday season.
We're joined by Keith Aldridge, owner of Canterbury Village, joining us today on the Megacast. Again, their Holiday Stroll event in partnership with Metro Detroit Chevy Dealers is coming up on Wednesday, November 24th at Canterbury Village. Also will be in partnership with Jay Towers of Fox 2 and 100.3 WNIC. Be November 24th as well as the 26th through the 28th, December 3rd through the 5th, 10th through the 12th, 17th through the 19th, and December 23rd. Tickets are on sale for $14.99 per person. Parking is $5, and there may be additional service fees as well. children under 2, military, and veterans do get in for free. And then, Keith, just another few minutes with you today before we'll say goodbye. At this time, anything else that people should know about the holiday stroll or anything else that's upcoming between now and the new year over at Canterbury Village that may be of interest?
No, you really hit everything on. You do a better job than I do. You got all the events down, so I appreciate that. The one thing that I would like to stress, and talking about the small business owners, that's what Canterbury's all about. We got some great local shop owners here. Yates Cider Mill, the Wooden Tulip, Fourth Coast Holler Cider Works. The list goes on and on. Obviously, Canterbury, in the short amount of time, we've really done a 180 on what we used to be. Please come out and support our local shop owners. And everybody can shop online and go to Amazon and Walmart.com. But please come out, have a great experience. Grab some donuts, grab some food, grab some hot chocolate, and have a great, wonderful family experience out here at Canterbury.
Again, we've been joined by Canterbury Village owner Keith Aldridge on the Megacast. Learn more at CanterburyVillage.com about all their businesses. They're at Canterbury Village, and join them for their Michigan-made holiday market November 26th through the 28th there as well. And, of course, their holiday stroll coming up on November 24th includes a toy drive for the bottomless toy chest and a partnership with J Towers of Fox 2 and 100.3 WNIC benefiting Jays Juniors. You can learn more information about the event and purchase tickets while they're still available on their website, CanterburyHolidayStroll.com. Keith, thank you for being with us.
Thank you. Have a great holiday season.
You as well. You're listening and watching the Megacast on a number of different television, radio, and other media outlets, including your radio homes for the show. 89.3 WBLD, Orchard Lake, West Bloomfield, Keagle Harbor, Sylvan Lake, and 88.1 WBFH, Bloomfield Hills. You can learn more information about all the places that we broadcast and watch all of our full shows and interviews on demand. Every single interview, every single discussion, every article, and every voice crack from the host on our website at civiccentertv.com/megacast. There you can also find more information about all of our partnering television, radio, and other media outlets, as we have them all linked on our Megacast page. We're going to take a quick break. On the other side, we'll start off the second hour of the show with Eric Goldstein, the director of Making God Laugh, a play that's being performed through the Rosedale Community Players. He is coming up next. You're watching and listening to the Megacast.
Motorcyclists are hard to see. To keep everyone safer, it's important to always look for them and know where most crashes occur. 84% of motorcycle and vehicle crashes happen on streets, not highways. And most crashes with motorcyclists occur when vehicle drivers are turning left. So before turning, especially to the left, make sure you look for motorcyclists. Then look again. It could save a life.
To Sophia and Gabriel. Even though these old knees can't follow on your adventure to the forest today, these flowers represent my love. These stitches and threads join us together. And wherever you see a flower, a bird, a beautiful tree, know that my love is with you.
Make the forest part of your story at a park near you. Find one at discovertheforest.org.
72.7% of high school students get less than the recommended 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night. This can cause pain, obesity, and can very negatively affect your mental health. When you have a consistent 7 to 9 hours of sleep every day, you get sick less often, lose more weight, and have better relationships with those around you. For more information about the dangers of sleep deprivation, go to sleepfoundation.org. This message is brought to you by the WBHS Digital Media Arts Program and 89.3 Lakes FM.
Can I ask you a question? Why did you get your kids vaccinated?
It was hard for them to social distance, to be isolated from their friends.
I want them to get back to school and sports games. So as a pediatrician, I recommend the vaccine to everyone I know.
The boys lost a former teammate and classmate who was only 20 years old. It's been a devastating year.
We want to get back to normalcy. Our daughter is really looking forward to being with her friends, being a kid.
Can I ask you a question? Why did you get your kids vaccinated?
It was hard for them to social distance, to be isolated from their friends.
I want them to get back to school and sports games. So as a pediatrician, I recommend the vaccine to everyone I know.
The boys lost a former teammate and classmate who was only 20 years old. It's been a devastating year.
We want to get back to normalcy. Our daughter is really looking forward to being with her friends, being a kid.
It's the Great Lakes water. And so what people do ends up in our waterways.
Flushable wipes are just evil. They should be thrown away. They're impossible to destroy, and they can cause significant problems.
One of the main things when you're cooking is to not dump fats, oils, and greases down your drains.
They stick to the sides of pipes. They stick to everything they come in contact with. Don't put it down the sink.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
When times get dark, we can't see the help that's all around us. When you don't know where to turn, let 211 be your guiding light.
How can I help you?
Our guides are ready to connect you with the help you need. For help with food, healthcare, mental health, and other resources, call 211 or visit 211.org. 211. Get connected, get help.
Joining us now once again is Eric Goldstein. He is the director of Making God Laugh from the Rosedale Community Players in Southfield to talk about that show coming up very soon, with shows beginning already underway and continuing this week. Eric, thanks for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate having you on. So tell us a little bit about the play itself. Tell us about Making God Laugh and why people should go see it.
Well, the title comes from an old joke. How do you make God laugh? Tell him your plans. And that's what's driving the play right here. The play itself, it's about one family, and we get a snapshot of their lives every 10 years. The first scene is in 1980, the second scene is in 1990, the third scene is in 2000, and the final scene is in 2010. And we see how this family develops with life changes and traditions over that spread of time. It starts with the two adults, with the two parents and the three newly adult children in 1980. And they're just embarking on their adult lives. And it's just really fun and neat and interesting to see and touching to see how they struggle and move forward in each of these 10-year snapshots.
And so as you're producing this play, as the director and as you're preparing for this, from my notes, the process of this play actually began a long time ago, putting the show on a very long time ago, and it's taken a long time to get to the point where now you've done 3 shows, beginning last week and continuing on through the next 2 weeks. Tell us a little bit about that story. Just how much have you and the Rosedale Community Players out of Southfield gone through in order to get to the point where you're now able to produce Making God Laugh?
My goodness, I applied to direct this show for Rosedale Community Players over 2 years ago. And we had our auditions and we cast the show, and we were about a month away from opening when the pandemic hit and shut everything down. And part of the trick of keeping going was not knowing when we could ever go back to the stage again. And you know, is it going to be a few months? Is it going to be a year? We had no way of knowing. But as we learned more about how to live with the pandemic, how to be safe with the pandemic, we came to the conclusion that perhaps we could do it right now. And our team retook the rehearsal stage, if you will, back in September. And we've had to replace some cast and crew members as their life circumstances took them on different paths. And we have faced more show shutdown problems in this particular project than I've ever seen in memory. But we're here, and the show was great. The audiences loved it last weekend, and we sure hope to give more people the opportunity to enjoy it these next 2 weekends.
We're joined by Eric Goldstein. He's the director of Making God Laugh from the Rosedale Community Players out of Southfield, joining us on the Megacast. Their upcoming shows this week, November 12th at 8 p.m., Saturday, November 13th at 8 p.m., and then Sunday, November 14th at 2 p.m. Those same show times on those same days next week as well. Friday and Saturday and Saturday at 8 p.m., Sunday shows at 2 p.m. As well. And so you mentioned the long process to get here to be able to show Making God Laugh at the Rosedale Community Players in Southfield. Along the way, how much changeover was there from the cast and from the crew, being that the process of getting this play together began in 2019, and now here we are on the tail end of 2021 and finally showing the show?
Let me just quickly correct you. In the final weekend, the matinee is on Saturday. We'll have 2 shows.
Okay, yeah,
Saturday, November 20th. That's okay. We'll have a matinee at 2 o'clock and an 8 o'clock show on Saturday, November 20th. But thank you. We have 5 actors portraying the characters in this show. And right now we have 3 of the original cast, and we had 2 other people come in and join us these last few months, one more recent than the other, as we needed to. We've also needed to get new crew. For example, the person who was developing and going to run sound for us, she had made a lot of progress, but she had to move to Lansing for family's reasons and is unable to do it. I'd say a lot of our cast and crew is original and is hung in there, and just those few replacements. And I think it's a testament to how much they love the story and how much they love working with each other. We've got a great team on this show and a very good story. Like I say, it's got a roller coaster of emotions. You're going to laugh, you're going to cry, and at the end, you're going to be glad you came.
We're joined by Eric Goldstein, director of Making God Laugh from the Rosedale Community Players in Southfield. There are shows this weekend as well as next weekend as they close out their 3 weeks of shows at the Southfield Community Players. And so you can get tickets at their online box office or by calling 313-532-4010. That's 313-532-4010, and learn more at RosedaleCommunityPlayers.com. That's RosedaleCommunityPlayers.com. And so, Eric, you begin the process of putting the show together, gathering a cast, gathering a crew, going through auditions, getting rehearsals, at least planning to take the rehearsal stage. You get cut off by the pandemic. The pandemic isn't over, but you're allowed to then reopen and get back into the theater. What then prompted you and prompted the rest of the cast and the crew and the community players there to then continue on with this show instead of resetting and moving on to something different? What about this story made sense to continue on and ultimately show this show after losing a process that ultimately was 2 years now past when you began?
You know, there's an old saying in theater, the show must go on.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is, when you're confronted with a speed bump or more serious adversity, the important thing to do is work hard to find a way to keep going, to adapt, to improvise, to overcome, and we are all committed to moving forward. We had invested so much time and energy into doing the show, and it was also a show we all really loved. We loved the story, we loved the challenges, the unique challenges of aging everyone 10 years in between each scene. There were so many things that attracted us to this show. Why abandon it? Once we are ready to bring live theater back, with all appropriate safe precautions to keep the audience and the actors and the crew safe, which we're following strictly. Why would we not why would we not go forward with this show? It's worth doing. It's a great mirror or reflection on our culture, our family life, and our effort to balance tradition and changing times. That's one of the themes running through the show. And quite frankly, given what the pandemic has done to our society, and as we're trying to move forward to getting past the harsher restrictions, it's the same thing, balancing tradition and the times and the present times. I think it's a great show for that message and for showing a family's perseverance to move forward over 30 years.
I'm joined by Eric Goldstein. He's the director of Making God Laugh from the Rosedale Community Players in Southfield. And so in terms of the audience, what should be attracting them to come see this show? And then when they do see this show, what do you expect is going to be the more profound takeaways that they have from seeing a show like this, especially in the times that we're seeing this show be played at the Rosedale Community Players?
Well, the audience should expect to see much of what I've described. Ours is one of the small stages. We are many small stages in Michigan. We don't have a lot of room for different floats and different sets and things to move around. This is one room, the living room of the house, but we age it a little bit for each scene to reflect the 10 years. What the audience is going to see is the arc. We're going to get introduced to the characters, and we're going to see major changes and major arcs each scene. Maybe the audience go, I wonder what's going to be different this time. But what's running through it all is love of family and the individual's quest to find their own meaning and enmeshing those two things. I don't know if I've answered your question fully, but that's all I can think of right now.
We're joined by Eric Goldstein. He's the director of Making God Laugh from the Rosedale Community Players in Southfield. He's joining us today on the Megacast. You can learn more information about the show and how you can get tickets by going to their website at rosedalecommunityplayers.com. That's rosedalecommunityplayers.com. You can get their tickets there at their online box office. You can also get them over the phone by calling 313-532-4010. Again, the phone number for their box office to get tickets to Making God Laugh, 313-532-4010. And then in terms of the cast and crew, what have your takeaways been going through this 2+ year process, the start and the stop, knowing the stories and experiencing over and over again through rehearsal after rehearsal, through show after show, this story being told? What has been yours and the rest of the cast and crew's takeaway from producing Making God Laugh?
It's a testament to perseverance and the fruits and the joys of loyalty. That's what ultimately holds the family together. There's crises in the family, and there are things that threaten to tear them apart, but they're held together ultimately to the extent that they are through love and respect and loyalty. Sometimes it might take a while to get there, but they get there. And I think that's a parallel for how the cast and crew have come together to overcome the adversity of time and COVID.
We're joined by Eric Goldstein, director of Making God Laugh from the Rosedale Community Players of Southfield. Learn more information on their website, rosedalecommunityplayers.com, and by calling their box office to purchase tickets, 313-532-4010. That's 313-532-4010. Eric, just another few minutes with you before we'll say goodbye today. Anything else that people should know about Making God Laugh, about the Rosedale Community Players, or how they can get involved in future shows?
We are so excited to come back to the live theater, and we have recognized and seen our audiences share in that excitement. I want to announce that we have auditions for our second show of the season. It's a play called Of Divine Interest by Michigan's own playwright, Dave Durham. The auditions will take place at the Rosedale Community Players Theater in Southfield on November 15th, November 16th, and possibly November 17th. More details about that are on our webpage at rosedaleCommunityPlayers.com.
And then lastly, in terms of the audience and the cast and crew and those interested in participating in future shows with the Rosedale Community Players, Eric, at this time, what are the COVID precautions that are in place, if any, at the Rosedale Community Players?
Our mission is to keep everyone safe, regardless of their beliefs in science or otherwise. We want everyone to be safe. You are required to show a current vaccination card or a negative institutional COVID test taken within the last 72 hours to come see the show. All cast and crew have to be vaccinated, and everyone wears a mask throughout. Historically, Rosedale Community Players was set up as like a dinner theater where you bring your own dinner. People were encouraged to bring in food and drink. We're not doing that now. Please don't bring anything to eat or drink there. Maybe we can return to that tradition in future shows, but in this show, there'll be no food or drink allowed in the house. And everyone except actors who are acting on the stage must be wearing a mask. And we're keeping the actors far enough away from the audience that there won't be any spread from them. We really don't want to become a super spreader event. And so we're doing everything we can to keep everyone safe. I will point out that last weekend we had one house was definitely a full house. Another one was almost full, and the other one was 3/4 full. And we had no complaints or concerns, and everyone seemed quite comfortable, and it went really, really well.
Well, Eric, we appreciate it. Thanks for joining us and telling us about Making God Laugh. Good luck with the rest of the show. And, of course, everyone can get tickets online at rosedaleCommunityPlayers.com or by calling their box office number 313-532-4010. Eric, thanks.
Thank you.
When times get dark, we can't see the help that's all around us. When you don't know where to turn, let 211 be your guiding light.
How can I help you?
Our guides are ready to connect you with the help you need. For help with food, healthcare, mental health, and other resources, call 211 or visit 211.org. 211. Get connected, get help.
We may come from different organizations,
but we work together to protect the Huron River for everyone.
Neighborhood storm drains carry water directly to local creeks and streams. No filters, no treatment.
Storm drains also help reduce street flooding when it rains.
So clearing storm drains and the areas nearby of trash and leaves helps keep them for rain only.
It is easy to do your part by adopting a storm drain.
Find a storm drain, check it, and clear it every month.
So keep storm drains for rain only.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
If you are struggling to afford your internet bills during the pandemic, there's a temporary government program that may be able to help. It's called the Emergency Broadband Benefit, and it provides up to a $50 monthly discount on your broadband bill to qualifying households. Find more information about the program, including if you qualify and how to enroll, at fcc.gov/broadbandbenefit, or call toll-free at 833-511-0311.
A public service announcement from 89.3 Lakes FM.
We as Michiganders feel connected to this resource in a way that I think is really powerful.
Conservation starts with a caring, committed community.
For me, it's peaceful to have a relationship with the river.
Every single one of us has a role to make sure that those waterways stay safe and healthy, being careful about what goes down the storm drain.
Just even eliminating some of your single-use plastic makes a difference.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
Did you know that nearly 3.31 million Americans don't get their annual checkup? Going to the doctor regularly is extremely important and is a crucial factor in maintaining good health. Make sure you are visiting your local doctor often and telling them about any health concerns you have. For more information, contact your local healthcare provider. This message is brought to you by WBHS Digital Media Arts Program and 89.3 Lakes FM.
People are getting out to walk and bike in higher numbers. More vulnerable road users and higher speed traffic can be a dangerous combination. Crash severity has increased, so if you're driving, be sure to slow down and look for people. There's no need to speed. If you're biking, ride with traffic. If you're walking, avoid stepping into the road if possible. If you have to walk in the street, walk facing traffic. Learn more at walkbikedrivesafe.org.
When times get dark, we can't see the help that's all around us. When you don't know where to turn, let 211 be your guiding light.
How can I help you?
Our guides are ready to connect you with the help you need. For help with food, healthcare, mental health, and other resources. Call 211 or visit 211.org. 211. Get connected, get help.
Welcome back to the Megacast. I'm Tyler Keefe, alongside our studio producer and board operator Calvin Brown in our studios in West Bloomfield Township, although we're broadcasting all throughout the state of Michigan on a number of different television, radio, and web outlets. Learn more information about all the places that we're broadcasting live and live to tape by visiting our website at civiccentertv.com and clicking on the Megacast link. There you'll also be able to find all of our full shows and individual interviews on demand 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Again, civiccentertv.com, and just click on our Megacast link. Joining us now is Megan Lehman. She is the Regional Communications Director for the Michigan region of the American Red Cross, with us once again on the Megacast. Megan, thanks for being with us again.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Appreciate it. So at this time, continues to have an emergency national shortage of blood and the need for donations. It's always there. There's always a need for blood donations. The American Red Cross is always looking for donations of blood in a pandemic and not in the pandemic, but there particularly has been an emergency shortage of late. Why is that, and just how much is there a need for blood at this time?
So coming out of the summer is usually a pretty low time for blood donations, with going back to school and now people returning to the workplace. But this is the lowest point we've been at this time of year for over a decade. So this is really a historical low.
And so at this time, just how far behind is the American Red Cross in terms of being able to meet the need of these blood donations for the number of different reasons that they're utilized?
So the Red Cross does collect 40% of the nation's blood, but this is really something that is impacting the entire country, the entire blood banking industry, if you will. So this is something we're all working through together just to get blood donors out there. We're not necessarily behind, but we like to be ahead of it. So we need to collect 10,000 more blood products each week to catch up to where we like to be. A couple different types of blood. We have less than a half-day supply on hand. So the good news here is that this has been going on for several weeks now, and we have seen more donors coming out. So it is getting a little better, but we really need to keep on pushing to get blood donors out.
We're joined by Megan Lehman. She is the Regional Communications Director for the Michigan region of the American Red Cross, joining us today on the Megacast. And so in terms of the blood types that are needed, is there a shortage across the board, or are there certain blood types in particular that the Red Cross and other organizations that are collecting blood really need at this time?
We need all blood types to come out and donate. people that have type O positive and type O negative, we always need them to come out because type O negative is the universal blood type, the blood that medical personnel needs in emergency rooms. So when people come in, they can give it to anyone. So we always need them to come out. And usually they know it because they'll get a lot of phone calls asking them to donate. And we have had less than a half day's supply on hand of type O at different points.
And so in terms of the impact of the pandemic, how has that impacted both the need for blood donations and the consistency or the volume of blood donations, I would say would probably be a better way to word it, that have come in over the past 20 months or so?
So as far as blood donations go, we've seen fluctuations throughout the pandemic. When the pandemic first started and we asked people to come out and reassured people it was safe, people really stepped up and did that. But as you know, different factors have come and gone over the last few months. And we know when the Delta variant, first hit in different parts of the country, that was a major impact for blood donors to come out. As far as the need for blood, there was, people were putting off elective surgeries. And earlier this year, we saw those getting rescheduled, and that, increased the need to some degree.
We're joined by Megan Lehman, the Regional Communications Director for the Michigan region of the American Red Cross, joining us today on the Megacast. And so in a typical year, how does the holiday season impact both the need for blood and the amount of blood donations? And then how has that been impacted last year during the pandemic, and this year, how is that expected to be impacted?
So we are coming into this holiday season with this emergency shortage. So that is troubling. For the Red Cross, we kind of look at maybe less of the holiday season, but more of the flu season impacting us, because when people are sick, they're less likely, to be able to donate blood or to even consider donating blood. So that's another thing we're concerned about right now.
We're joined by Megan Lehman. She is the Regional Communications Director for the American Red Cross, joining us on the Megacast. And so at this time, who should be donating blood, and what sort of opportunities are there in terms of blood donation drives during the season?
So who should be donating blood is anyone that's eligible to donate blood. But we'd really like to get a message across to people that have never donated blood before to consider giving blood. It's really a pretty painless experience that takes about an hour of your time. You can donate blood all across Metro Detroit. There are blood drives in community locations as well as our donor centers across 3 counties here in Metro Detroit. So you walk in there and you walk out knowing you've made a difference. One blood donation can impact up to 3 lives.
We're joined by Megan Lehman. She is the Regional Communications Director for the Michigan region of the American Red Cross, today on the Megacast. Learn more information, including where you can find blood drives in your local area, by visiting redcross.org. Again, that is redcross.org. And so are there upcoming drives in the local area here in Oakland County that you know of that are coming up?
Sure. So we actually have what we call a fixed site. So it's a blood donor center in Bloomfield, so on Telegraph, that is pretty convenient location, but they are throughout the whole Oakland County area. So there's, churches and some schools that host blood drives. The Troy Community Center is one of the places that always hosts blood drives. So if you go to redcrossblood.org, you put in your zip code, you will find blood drives near your house, and at appointments at the time that's convenient for you.
We're joined by Megan Lehman on the Megacast. She is the Regional Communications Director for the Michigan region of the American Red Cross. So is it just blood that's really in need right now in mass, or are there needs for, I know earlier on in the pandemic, blood plasma was something that was of great need as well. Is that still a need for donations?
So platelets, we do have a platelet shortage. So that's the clotting portion of blood, and a lot of cancer patients require platelets. They have to be transfused within 5 days. So that's something we are always looking for, because once it's donated, the turnaround time is pretty quick. In other words, we can't store them for very long. So anyone that's a blood donor already and maybe has been curious about platelets, that would be something to look at now, because we also have a shortage there.
We're joined by Megan Lehman. She is the Regional Communications Director for the American Red Cross with us on the Megacast. And so if helping people in need all throughout the U.S. Through the American Red Cross and your donations of blood and blood platelets or other is not enough of incentive, there are some other great potential giveaways or sweepstakes that people can enter in order if they are donating their blood during the next few weeks. Actually, that one has, I'm looking at my notes, and that has since passed. It was one November 1st through the 12th. There's another one still. People will have a opportunity to receive some gift cards now through the 23rd if they donate their blood, correct?
Yes, so now through the 23rd, a $10 Amazon.com gift card is what you'll get. We always have, some small incentives to thank you for giving your time and your blood to help patients. But really, when you walk out of there, the first time giving blood, you're going to know it's that alone is worth it, that feeling of helping someone in your community, potentially helping to save a life.
Well, Megan, just another few minutes with you before we'll say goodbye today. Anything else at this time that would be important for our audience to know or to consider as we're heading into the end of the year and blood donations continue to be not only a need as they always are, but greater than ever at this time?
Yeah, thank you for helping us get the word out about this. It's just really important. There's people all over our community that need blood every day, whether it's a victim of a car accident, a mother that lost blood giving birth, or cancer patients. We all know someone that needed blood, or maybe we needed it ourselves. This is a time that people can really step up, give an hour of their time and help out their neighbors.
Well, Megan, we appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
You can learn more information and find local blood drives in your area by going to the American Red Cross's website at redcross.org. We appreciate your time, Megan. Thank you for being with us. Actually, it's redcrossblood.org or by calling 1-800-RED-CROSS, 1-800-733-2767. Again, that website, redcrossblood.org. We're going to take a quick break. On the other side, we'll be talking about movies and streaming with Nate Adams from theonlycritic.com. You're watching and listening to the Megacast.
Parents do a lot of worrying. Get your kids caught up on childhood vaccines to protect them from these 14 preventable diseases, and you'll have 14 fewer things to worry about. Vaccines are safe and effective and save lives. So let's get caught up on vaccines and worry about something else. Get the facts at ivaccinate.org.
We may come from different organizations,
but we work together to protect the Huron River for everyone.
Most of the pollution that goes into our rivers is carried by rainwater that flows off of roads, parking lots, and rooftops.
The leaves and bark of a single tree can retain a surprising amount of rainwater. Depending on its size and species, it could be 100 gallons or more.
It is estimated that an urban forest can reduce annual runoff by up to 7%.
Here's one thing that we know can help keep our water clean.
Plant a tree.
Plant a tree.
Plant a tree.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
Joining us now is Nate Adams, a film critic at theonlycritic.com, as well as Rotten Tomatoes, to talk about the latest with movies, TV, and streaming. Nate, thanks for being with us today.
Tyler, thanks for having me.
Good to have you back, Nate. So right now in the theaters, what are some of the movies that are out right now or that are coming out soon that you suggest people should either be going to see or be ready to go see when they hit theaters?
Well, the good news is for moviegoers is that moviegoing and movies that are coming out, like big blockbusters, holiday season specials, all that is back on the table now. It feels like, October was a record month, which usually doesn't happen ever. Before, I think you have to go back to 1988 to find when October was the busiest month of the year. It's usually July, the peak of summer. But upcoming, so the awards movies are coming out because the Oscars and the Critics' Choice Awards, all that stuff's on the horizon. So there's a lot of good stuff coming out. This weekend you got Kenneth Branagh's Belfast, which is right now the Best Picture frontrunner. It's kind of a semi-autobiographical take from the filmmaker who kind of goes back to his roots and explores his childhood. Has a great cast: Jamie Dornan, Syrian Hans, all that's really, really good. Next week you have King Richard, which is starring Will Smith, who is the best actor frontrunner, and he gives the performance of a career playing Serena and Venus Williams' father. Little unorthodox. 10 minutes into it, you don't even feel like you're watching Will Smith at all. He completely disappears into the role. Same for Spencer, which is starring Kristen Stewart as Princess Diana, also getting a ton of awards buzz, Best Actress frontrunner, and she's also terrific. So really, really good content coming out in the next few weeks. Stuff that'll be in theaters, stuff that will be at home. Obviously, the new Marvel movie Eternals is out. You got Spider-Man No Way Home coming out in December. You got The Matrix, West Side Story. There's a Home Alone remake coming on Disney Plus this weekend, which I highly recommend everybody stay away from. So yeah, there's a lot of options for families too. Clifford the Big Red Dog just debuted this week, which is actually, I'm in the minority. I actually didn't end up hating it, but if you go online, there might be some people that say otherwise.
We're joined by Nate Adams, film critic at theonlycritic.com, joining us today on the Megacast. So the holiday season, as you said, movies, the holiday movie season boom, expected to be back. It's already kind of starting after a big month of October for our theaters. The first of these big holidays coming up that usually have mass release of movies is going to be Thanksgiving. A number of different films coming out on Thanksgiving. Huge films. That's going to be a big weekend. What are some of those biggest films that are going to be released that weekend that we'll probably be seeing a lot of families going to theaters to go watch?
Well, Disney has their Lin-Manuel Miranda animated film Encanto, which is, I haven't had the chance to see it yet, but I know that, Lin-Manuel Miranda is obviously riding a huge popularity wave. He's got Tick, Tick, Boom coming out this week, which is Andrew Garfield's getting a ton of award buzz. It's his directorial debut. And of course, Hamilton. He did Vivo over the summer with Netflix. So the Lin-Manuel Miranda train hype is going pretty good. And that comes out over Thanksgiving. And then another buzzy film that people will probably want to keep an eye on is called House of Gucci, which is obviously about the assassination of the famous fashion designer, and it stars Lady Gaga, Adam Driver, Jeremy Irons, Jared Leto, Al Pacino, and it's directed by Ridley Scott. So that's got a ton of buzz. That will also be opening in the Thanksgiving corridor. But then families are also going to have some good options at home. Disney has obviously got the Hawkeye series coming out for Disney Plus, and then there's a 3-part Beatles documentary, behind the scenes footage of one of the makings of the Beatles albums that Peter Jackson directed. That's a 3-part series that's going to debut on Thanksgiving. So in theaters and at home, there's going to be plenty for audiences, families, adults to indulge in.
We're joined by Nate Adams from theonlycritic.com, joining us on the Megacast on the TV side of things. A lot of new shows have been released, particularly on streaming platforms of late that have gotten a lot of buzz. What are some of those top shows still that have been recent releases and others that are highly anticipated going forward?
So Apple TV Plus has a show coming out tomorrow starring Will Ferrell and Paul Rudd, which Paul Rudd was just named Sexiest Man Alive by People. So buzz for that. And then he's also in Ghostbusters Afterlife, which comes out next week. That's also very highly anticipated. You can't buy that kind of publicity. I'm sure it was just kind of like a coincidence. But The Shrink Next Door, which is based on the popular podcast, it stars Paul Rudd and Will Ferrell. Will Ferrell plays a patient to Paul Rudd's therapist, who he ends up getting taken advantage of and ends up giving him millions and millions of dollars over the course of like 3 decades. So I got the chance to see the whole season. The first 3 episodes drop tomorrow on Apple TV Plus. Very, very good. It's got comedic, dramatic elements. I think Will Ferrell, who, we usually know Will Ferrell for doing immature, raunchy comedies. It was actually nice to see him showcase some serious dramatic chops. One of the best performances I've ever seen him give. Also right now, Succession is going hot and heavy on HBO Max. I think Succession is probably the best show out there currently airing on TV. It's in its 3rd season. I highly recommend going back and checking out the first 2 seasons and catching up if you haven't. I also just finished Impeachment, the American crime story about Bill Clinton's scandal with Monica Lewinsky, just wrapped on FX. That was also very, very good. And then if you're not watching on Hulu, it's called Dope Sick, which stars Michael Keaton, Peter Sarsgaard, and Rosario Dawson. It's a real-life dramatization of how they took down Purdue. The FBI built up the case, taking down Purdue Pharma, obviously of the OxyContin drug epidemic. So that's also very, very, very good if you're looking for something to binge these next few weeks.
We're joined by Nate Adams, a film critic from theonlycritic.com. You can also see his film reviews on Rotten Tomatoes as well. And in terms of other big TV streaming shows that have released recently, probably the most notable of all of them has been Squid Game. Have you seen that, and what are your thoughts on that series? I have not seen it yet, and I keep getting pestered that I should.
Yeah, Squid Game is I did see Squid Game, and I did very much enjoy it. And I was worried because what happens is kind of like the Tiger King effect, where something just kind of hits at the right time and everybody kind of latches onto it. And then I kind of felt that peer pressure too, Tyler. Everybody was telling me in my ear, you got to watch it. And then you see it in your queue, and it's #1 for like 10 weeks. I just have to give credit here, obviously, to Netflix, because it was a grassroots campaign that kind of propelled the show to the biggest hit probably of the streamer's tenure. And I particularly like that it is introducing audiences to that kind of the cinema, right? Foreign language cinema, which, thanks to Parasite and now this, I think more and more people are kind of getting used to it, because, before there was this stigma of, well, I don't necessarily want to watch a movie that has subtitles, or I don't want to read my whole movie. And I think that stigma is slowly going away, and I hope it opens the doors for more people to check out great foreign cinema, because 9 times out of 10 they're usually always better than what we produce here.
Foreign language films with subtitles, once you get past the subtitles,
and subtitles in general are great, because I love watching things with subtitles because I never miss a word of dialogue. I really wish that movie theaters and AMC has started doing this. I wish some more local houses would do it. Open caption showings, so that way people are laughing, you're chewing on your popcorn or whatever. You miss those little lines of dialogue, or maybe you're watching something where the characters have heavy accents, and it's just like they go so fast, and it's nice to just kind of slow down and read everything. And I know there's been some controversy with Squid Game and how it was translated, but that's a conversation probably for another day.
I think in terms of any films or TV shows that do come with subtitles, it's different at first if you're not used to watching that kind of content.
It's become my new norm. I have to watch with subtitles.
No, I love it. Once you get used to it, you actually I found that once I got used to it, and same with what I've discussed with other people, particularly when I was in school and I was watching a lot of films and a lot of TV for my classes, being a broadcasting major, that once they started to watch films with subtitles, they started to really enjoy that too. So it's something to get past, and once you get past, you really start to enjoy it, or at the very least, it's just like watching anything else. So something like that.
Exactly. 100%.
Very interesting. So you mentioned when we were talking about Squid Game, it kind of had the, as you said, Tiger King effect. Netflix coming out with Tiger King 2. Are you interested in that?
I am interested in the sole purpose that, it's guilty pleasure television. Of course, like everybody else, I watched the first season and I was hooked. And again, it hit at the right time. We were just going into all those COVID lockdowns, and we were all kind of looking for something to latch on. And apparently, America has a lot of hatred for Carol Baskins. So, and we'll see. She's already trying to sue. I don't know if you saw this, but she's trying to sue the producers for this next season. I don't think that's. It's still going to come out. I think it's coming out November 17th, which I think is next Wednesday. I will definitely be a viewer on that one.
Yeah, it's something interesting. I also, much like Squid Game, didn't see Tiger King, didn't really care for it, didn't see it.
You gotta catch up. What are you watching?
Oh, I gotta catch up, but I gotta catch up on some things. That's what's one thing, Tiger King, that I just did not seem remotely interested in. But yeah, I did hear about Carol Baskins suing the producer. Apparently, a lot of angry cats and kittens out there directed at Carol Baskins. So,
yes.
It's sad for her. But one thing I am watching, I have started watching, is much like a lot of other shows that have come in past, there's a lot of revivals that have started recently, and I started watching last weekend as it got released. Dexter New Blood just released on Showtime last weekend. Are you watching that? Are you encouraged to watch that, or what have you heard so far about that revival of Dexter?
Well, I don't watch Dexter, so I don't have as much insight into it, but I do know that there were some fans that were very, let's just say, upset with how the series have previously ended. So I think that, if my understanding is, this is kind of Showtime trying to course correct what happened and maybe make people more satisfied with how that. I don't know how it ended. I might watch it someday. So, but are you getting that sense from the show too? Because I know Michael C. Hall is obviously he's very good in the show and he gets a lot of buzz for it. But no, I'm on the Dexter train.
Yeah, Michael C. Hall back in an executive producer role. Clyde Phillips, their original executive producer and showrunner through their first 4 seasons, is back running this.
I'm worried
series.
that when they do that, when they do these revivals, where you see like they redid the Wonder Years, which is currently airing on ABC, like all those things. I get worried that it's just we're running out of ideas, and we don't reboot, sequels, all this. This is part of the reason Disney is releasing this terrible Home Alone sequel that comes out tomorrow on Disney Plus. It's because they got to keep subscribers watching. So are you getting the feeling from Dexter that it's kind of, is it feel like it's authentic, or do you think they're just kind of using it to make some extra streaming dollars?
It feels to me like it's a new show with the same characters in a different setting. You're kind of seeing, because it's of course, they are beginning that revival in real time. So it's years down the line. He's in a different setting for a number of different reasons that are spoilers, so I won't get into them. But I do like what they're doing with it so far. I do like that they did bring back their original showrunner from the first 4 seasons, which have been regarded as the best parts of that show's 8-season run.
And HBO is also toying with the idea of bringing back another Sopranos show. Yeah. A prequel. They did The Many Saints of Newark. I didn't watch The Sopranos. I'm currently making my way through it, and I am enjoying it. So just kind of this mind of old. I hope that this isn't. I hope it already is. It's kind of given the standard reboots franchise, like Paramount Plus when it came out. It's kind of launching with a ton of pre-existing properties. Clifford the Big Red Dog. Even though I kind of enjoyed it, it still was kind of. It's just these are unnecessary things, and so you got to kind of look deep down for things that might challenge you more and might be more entertaining.
There's got to be, for me, a revival has to come with purpose. It can't just be nostalgia or trying to re-ring the same bell again for a different audience.
And I know the Saved by the Bell reboot on Peacock last year did get some warm praise. That was another one of those that people seem to enjoy. So maybe in the right setting with the right creative team, they can pull it off. But 8 times out of 10, it feels like it never quite reaches its apex.
We're joined by Nate Adams, film critic at theonlycritic.com and Rotten Tomatoes as well, where you can see his film reviews. And so, Nate, as we are going forward, and as you mentioned before, that October was a great month for theaters. We're starting to see seeing their performance get back to a little bit of more normalcy as time has gone on. Where are theaters at and film studios at in terms of returning to that full sense of normalcy, or getting back on track as much as it's possible after the year plus that they lost because of the pandemic?
Well, Disney was kind of experimenting with their releases over the summer. They released Black Widow, Cruella, Jungle Cruise, all premiere access at home for $30. Same with HBO Max and Warner Brothers, the whole that day and date release strategy. So as of right now, yesterday, Disney had its earnings call, and the CEO, Bob Chapek, said it's flexibility is the key. So he's not fully committing to a theatrical window, even though after Shang-Chi did really, really good back in September, they committed the rest of the slate for theatrical only. Next year, I still think there's going to be some building blocks as they determine what's best for theaters and what's best for streaming. And I think really, studios used to put out like 10 or, Warner Brothers, for example, 24 movies in a year, right? Now the goal is they're going to do 12 in theaters and then 12 for HBO Max. Like that's going to be the new standard. So theaters are going to become less and less the spot for those smaller independent films that normally would gain some traction, like in limited release and then expand, things like that. So it's a waiting game. So you got November's not going to be as high as October because October just was a robust month with week after week of just insane numbers. November will do good and it has a chance, but really you're going to see the biggest telltale sign. And I know we've kept pushing the goalposts, like, well, if this movie does well and if this movie does well, then we'll know for sure that exhibition is back 100%. And Shang-Chi did really good. Eternals just opened to 71 million last weekend. But really, the button on all of this is if Spider-Man No Way Home next month, December 17th, needs to open to $100 million. It would be the first movie to do it since the onslaught of the pandemic. If that doesn't happen, I'm not going to say the death of theaters, but it's just like it's going to make you reevaluate certain perspectives on what's going to be theatrically viable going forward.
Well, Nate, we appreciate your time. Thanks for giving us some insight into what we should be looking out for.
Good to chat.
Yeah, good to chat with you too.
We got Matrix Resurrections coming up next month. I already mentioned West Side Story. And me, I'm going to geek here a little bit. I am so excited. We talked about reboots, sequels, and franchises, but I am so stoked for the Scream movie that's coming out in January, which is bringing back the legacy cast. And that's kind of that thing where it's like, hey, if it doesn't feel cheap or exploitive, maybe it's good. It's going to be the first one without Wes Craven. I am very hopefully optimistic that it lives up to the premise of the filmmakers. I'm I have a lot of confidence in. So that's what I'm excited for.
Yeah, same thing with Calvin Brown over here, our board operator, our studio producer, also very excited for Scream coming up as well. So thank you for joining us, Nate.
Thanks again. Always a pleasure.
One of the things you can look for in your friends is a change in behavior. These can be big changes, they can be small changes in mood, physical appearance. They may be sleeping less or sleeping more, drinking more, or their eating patterns may be different.
One big change that can be pretty obvious is change in motivation. Do they no longer want to play basketball? Do they no longer want to play video games?
Now that we're spending more time online and in virtual settings, it's really important to pay attention to the language that your friend is using and the words they're using to communicate.
So when we text our friends, are they taking longer amounts of time to respond? Are they not responding at all? You don't have to be an expert to try to recognize these signs. The second that you feel it in your gut and that you're concerned, that's the second to have the conversation and open the door to what might be going on.
Whatever gets you talking.
Joining us now is Amira Dabul. She is a cook and author of Awafi from Amira's Kitchen, a Chaldean cookbook that I have right here in my hands with me today, and you can get that in many other places, but we'll talk to her about what is in that cookbook and her approach to cooking as well. Amira, thanks for being with us today.
Hi.
Appreciate having you on. So tell us a little bit about the cookbook, but let's start off with, because it's a Chaldean cookbook, it's all based on Chaldean cooking. What are some of the characteristics of Chaldean cooking?
It's we have all traditional recipes from my grandma and my mom and my mother-in-law. We're all made from scratch. Our cooking is all clean and healthy, and we make it from scratch. We use no cans, no frozen food, nothing. Everything is clean and healthy food we have. And these are the recipes that have been passed on from generation to generation, and I wrote them down to keep them all in the book and to pass them to my kids and grandkids and future to become generations.
So then what prompted you then to I mean, obviously, you mentioned that the familial aspects of things, passing these recipes on to your family was important, and that's part of the reason you compiled this cookbook. But you're also releasing this cookbook to the general public as well. What motivated you to then turn this into a cookbook that would then be published so that other people that maybe aren't from a Chaldean background can learn to cook Chaldean traditional foods and enjoy them themselves?
I wanted to share our traditions and our recipes and the way we cook for everybody. I wanted to keep our generation, my grandma's and my tradition from the village we came from, because the village doesn't exist like it used to be before. And I wanted to capture it and put it all in the book to have it. When you put it in a book, it's gonna stay there. We're not gonna lose it. So I wanted to not to lose it. The tradition and the recipes, my mom and my grandma and my mother-in-law, we baked them, cooked together days and day after.
So tell us more about your history cooking. You mentioned that you cooked a lot with your family earlier on in your life, but do you also do this professionally now? Is this more of just a hobby of yours that's turned into this great passion? How did you really become so passionate about cooking, particularly these traditional Chaldean dishes?
It's just a hobby, and I needed it to do something, and I was really inspired by my kids and my daughters and my nieces and nephews. They wanted the recipes to be written down, so they have them, and that would motivate me to put it in a book and to write it down.
We're joined by Amira. Please continue.
And that's why I wrote it, and it made me motivated. It's just my passion. I just love to cook. It brings me happiness, and I enjoy baking and cooking. That's all I like to do with it.
We're joined by Amira Dabul. She is the cook and author of A Wafi from Amira's Kitchen, a Chaldean cookbook, which is it available now, Amira? Where can people get a copy of A Wafi?
www.amiraskitchen.com. You can go and order it, or you can, Babylon has it, and the Babylon and Ashtar, the Middle Eastern market, they carry it.
We're joined by Amira Dabul. She is a cook and the author of A Wafi from Amira's Kitchen, a Chaldean cookbook, as she said, available in a number of different places. If you would be interested in learning some of these traditional Chaldean dishes and recipes from someone that has had these passed down to her through generations of family and is continuing to do that, not only in her family, but to yours as well. And so, Amira, what are some of your favorite dishes in this cookbook and just overall that you enjoy cooking for your family or that your family enjoys cooking with you?
We like to bake and cook together all the time. My daughters always help me as I help my mom. We grew up helping, working together. My mom, my mother-in-law, we always baked and cooked together. So all dishes are great. We have the best dishes ever. They're all healthy and nice dishes. And I'm going to share with you a recipe I prepared for you. It's baklava, where is the dessert we use in happy occasions.
Okay.
So I can demonstrate, and what is the best step is to do is cover it up with the damp towel so the phyllo dough doesn't dry out and then will crack. So if it's soft and moist, you can work with it better. And you take 2 sheets at a time. You spray it with the clarified butter. It's already in there and shows you how to clarify the butter. Mm-hmm. And spray the 2 sheets, turn it over, spray it again with butter, warm butter. You need it to be warm. And I have pistachio here. I had grind already, mix it with sugar and rose water and butter so it can stick to the thing. And you make sure you put it on straight and line. Mm-hmm. Make it even. And now I'm going to turn it over gently. You work with this gently because phyllo dough is very, very sensitive. It breaks very easy. And now when you're done, you gather it together, push it together. And if it's not stuck, you need to oil it. And then, there we go. Then you butter it.
Okay.
Again, the top, so you want the phyllo to stay nice and crispy. And then you bake it for over 25 minutes, depending on your oven, and that's how it comes out.
Very nice. Yeah, and you delivered some of it to us, so this is also another way that it turns out if you have the disc open. But yeah, you are able to chop it up into some smaller pieces, and turns out really nice.
You can have a piece and taste it. Let us know how you like it.
Absolutely, will do. Let me just pull one of these pieces out of here.
Yeah.
Here we go. Yeah. So this is exactly the recipe that Amira just cooked for you on the screen there, and it is this is in the Wafi, correct?
Yes.
It is in.
Yes. It's in there. Yes.
That is fantastic. That's great. That is really tasty. Yeah, that's an excellent recipe.
Thank you. Enjoy. Awafi, as we say. Awafi means enjoy.
Okay.
And health. Yes.
So that makes even more sense for that title then. We're joined by Amira Dabul. She's a cook and author of A Wafi from Amira's Kitchen. And again, just tell us again some of the places, at least locally or online, where this is available.
Babylon on Maple and Orchard Lake, Ashtar 14 Mile in Haggerty, and CK in Sterling Heights. Middle Eastern Arabic store.
Yeah, various stores around the local area where you're going to be able to get waffle from Amira's Kitchen and learn some of these great recipes that have been passed down through generations of Amira's family and other Chaldean families in the local area. It makes a great holiday gift for people, and it'd be really interesting as you get together with your family and run through some of your traditions for the holidays, to also be able to explore some other traditions from other communities in our local area as well, such as the Chaldean community. That has a lot of these great traditions and recipes as well. We're joined by Amira Dabul, the cook and author of a waffle from Amira's Kitchen, a Chaldean cookbook. And so, is this your first cookbook, Amira? Is this your first kind of venture like this, or have you done things like this before with Amira's Kitchen?
Yes, this is my first book.
So Amira's Kitchen, is this also a new venture for you? Is this a new project of yours, or has Amira's Kitchen been something that has that been a business or an idea that you have been working on for a while now, and this is just the first time you've run into something like a cookbook as opposed to making these dishes and providing them to other people?
This is my first time making the cookbook, and I got just interested in it all of a sudden out of nowhere. My kids wanted the recipe, and so I start writing them down, and from there I start, let me make you a book, guys. And then from the small book turned out to be a big book, so I get into it really, and I enjoy doing it.
And so how long has this cookbook been available, and if it's already been out for purchase for a while or available for purchase for a while, what's been the response?
Very good. I've been having really good response, and people are very, very happy with it. They've given me very nice feedbacks, how easy it is to follow, to read the recipe, to understand step by step in there, and the pictures I have in there for every step. There's pictures available, there's step by step, and the reading, it's really nice. The way it's written, very simple and easy to follow. And they're very happy with it.
We're joined by Amira Dabul. She is the author of a waffle from Amira's Kitchen, a Chaldean cookbook. You can learn more by visiting amiraskitchen.com, or you can also learn about this cookbook and then find it in a number of different places all throughout the local area. Amira, anything else that people should know about a waffle or anything else from Amira's Kitchen at this time before we let you go today?
It's a really good book. It's good to have it in your home. It's not just a book. It's more a history to me book, because I capture the history of my village where I came from. And it's nice to have it to pass on to your kids and grandkids. I really recommend people getting it to have it in their house. Even non-Chaldean people, there's nice recipes and easy to follow. They're very easy to do and very nice traditions we have in there. It's good to share with everybody. And I'm happy to be able to share it.
Yeah, we're happy to have had you on to share it with us. Again, it is a waffle. It is from Amira's Kitchen. You can learn more at amiraskitchen.com. You can also order a waffle on amiraskitchen.com, $45 for the cookbook, and you can get in a waffle apron as well for $10 at amiraskitchen.com. Amira, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Big thank you to Amira and all of our guests for joining us on this Monday edition of the Megacast. That is going to do it for today's show. Big thank you, of course, to all of our guests and to our crew for coming on the show, making the show happen. You can join us Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. until 12 noon on our live shows, and find us live to tape online on civiccentertv.com/Megacast. That's it for today. We'll be back tomorrow morning at 10 a.m.